Welcome to Fintech Corner. I'm Joseph Drambarean, and we're joined by Erica Proctor from the Dallas Cowboys. I'm so excited about this conversation. We're here on the floor of AFP. This is 2025.
God, is it really?
I can't believe it. We've been doing this for 3 years now.
Oh, wow.
And it's been so fun every year to hear stories from our customers. And honestly, I can't help myself. I have to bring up the Dallas Cowboys.
I mean, most people can't.
But instead of doing it and talking about Dak and MVP season, whatever, how about we talk about what's been the most surprising thing about working at the Dallas Cowboys? Doesn't even have to be related to, the team itself.
Well, so it's really funny because I am not a sports person, and I'm sure my boss is gonna hate every minute of that, but I didn't grow up in a really big sports family. So when I was telling all of my friends and family that I'm going to work for the Dallas Cowboys, 90% of them were like, what? You don't even like sports? I'm like, well, it's my life now. So I'm gonna learn to like it. I've learned a lot. There's still a lot that I don't have any idea about at all.
Yeah.
So I look like the idiot when other people start talking sports, and I'm like, yeah, I know which wide receiver that's his play position, right? Wide receiver, yeah, that's. But they're very, very family oriented, and great work-life balance, and that just wasn't something I really expected. And it works well for me because it's what I was looking for in my life and the life that I'm trying to build for myself outside of work. So it has been wonderful. The people that I work with are fabulous, and we really do feel like a family. And everybody's always cheering everybody on for one thing or another, and it's great.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, even though they might say that you don't know all of the different play calls in the Dallas Cowboys offense, when it comes to money, you may know a thing or two about the operations. How do you drive kind of the evangelism of what Treasury is at all within the organization, and what does that look like for you? It sounds like you run, are you the only treasurer?
So I am the Senior Treasury Manager, and for all intents and purposes, I am a department of one. Anything that needs a second approval tends to go to either the CFO or the VP of accounting for when I'm doing wires and transfers. But everything else, Treasury, for the most part, runs through me. My CFO is very hands-on and still does the majority of the forecasting. I'm trying to see if he'll trust me with it eventually. But yeah, it's fun.
So as a lean operation, it kind of almost begs the question, can it even be done by one person without, tech? And what has been that journey like for you, especially, having to juggle so many things within your operation?
So I think I have to credit my previous position a lot. I do have a very high work ethic, and I hold myself to extremely high standards, probably more so than a lot of people do, which just causes me more stress. But my previous position, I worked for a family office, and I managed by myself, for the most part, over 400 bank and brokerage accounts on a daily basis.
Whoa.
So it was intense, right? I come to the Cowboys, and while the volume is lower, the dollar amounts tend to be more significant. So dollar-wise, I'm moving more money, but volume is lower. And so instead of having 400 bank and brokerage accounts, I have roughly 80.
Right.
So it's different. And so for me, I'm like, oh, this is easy compared to where I came from.
Right.
What do I do with my spare time? I don't know. But
maybe a little forecasting.
Maybe a little forecasting, right? Yeah. I do try to find efficiencies where I can. But my main goal when I step into a role is to learn the ins and outs, and how every aspect of what I am doing affects the other departments. Because I don't want to make any changes until I fully understand how it's going to affect everybody else, so that I can mitigate some of that risk and concern and change so that it becomes smoother. So that's...
How does it work with the other departments? It's actually really interesting from the general treasury practice, because teams are, like you said, smaller operations, but very large transactions. and in some cases international, not always, but in some cases. What does collaboration with other departments look like in your environment? And are there any challenges?
Challenges are, I feel like, comes with every job, right?
Yeah.
But we're very team oriented. Ironically, Cowboys, right? We're very team oriented. My accounting department, or what they loop as the accounting department, is a culmination of several other departments in many other companies. So it's treasury, it's payroll, it's tax, it's procurement, it's accounting, it's AP, it's AR, it's all of those. And so we all work very closely together and getting it done day by day and taking care of it. And so a lot of what I do, I try to find ways that my job can make things more efficient for them. If it takes you 15 minutes to do this process, but I'm in the system every day and it would just take me 2 to 3 more seconds to do that for you, let me save you the time, add just a little bit of time to me so that you can open up your wheelhouse to do more productive things for you.
It kind of sounds like you're almost in a, dare I say it, almost a tech leadership position, just having implemented, software that makes you more efficient. Does that ever put you in a position where you're advising other parts of the organization on how to kind of streamline things and take advantage of tech?
Not yet, it hasn't. I feel like our IT department really holds that role, but I have been able to implement some functionality that makes my job easier and in turn makes other people's jobs easier. So that's been nice.
Obviously a theme at the trade show floor, automation, AI, everybody's talking about the same things. How have you felt kind of engaging with some of these topics? As you walk around the showroom floor, what is kind of your most important next agenda item? Kind of looking forward over the next year or 2 years, what are you trying to accomplish? And how does tech play a role in all of that?
So the biggest thing that we've been trying to accomplish is getting rid of checks, right? Everybody loves to hate paper, unless you're the older generation, and then they love paper.
I didn't want to say it, but you said it.
Well, and to be fair, there are times where even I am like, I need to write this down. I need some paper. I've got to hold it. It just sometimes sinks in my brain a little bit better. So I get it. But getting rid of checks and getting rid of fraud and that fraud potential is massive, because the sheer amount of time that I alone spend mitigating fraud and dealing with fraud claims and having to close and open new bank accounts and get those set up and all the services associated with them, it's draining.
Yeah.
So
what's the reason for all of that? Is it just the nature of the sports industry and just kind of operate?
I think it's just the nature of criminals. Now, because we are the Cowboys, that star means big bucks to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we're actually doing things on our side to remove that noticeable emblem so that it happens less.
It all sounds so manual and tedious, and I'm curious, for those that are on the showroom floor that aren't in the same position as you, having implemented software, gaining leverage in automation, all of that, what advice do you give them if they're still, in spreadsheets all day, downloading, data from their bank, doing things by hand? What advice would you give them?
So as much as we all love Excel, but also want to get away from it, I don't feel like we're ever going to be able to.
Yeah.
But taking the time to do your research, learning your function in and out, where you can pretty much do it in your sleep, that, first of all, is going to help you figure out where you have the most opportunity to gain inefficiencies.
Yeah.
And then when you're looking at different processes and systems to help you with that, the thing that I've done the most is ask for a proof of concept, because everybody wants to tell you, oh, we can fix this for you. We can do this for you. That's great. I want you to prove it.
Yeah.
Like, take some of my data and show me that you can do what I need your system to do.
That's actually a very tech-oriented approach. Typically, in tech companies, POCs drive everything, right?
Yeah.
To get the proof that you need to make a business case for anything.
And I will say, anybody who's like, oh, well, we don't do that. Well, it's been nice speaking with you.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time. We're done here. If you're not willing to give me a proof of concept, that tells me that you're not standing behind your product the way that I feel you should.
Right.
And if you're not standing behind your product, how can I stand behind your product? That doesn't make me want to use it every day.
Absolutely.
So I would say proof of concept and making sure that you've got the time. And when you're a lean team like I am, that can be very scarce.
Yeah.
So it might take me longer to implement a system because I'm the only one doing it and I don't have all the additional resources. But I know that it's done the way that I want it to be done, and it takes however long I want it to take.
Right.
And if I want it to go faster, then I dedicate more time to it. So just being willing to take the time needed and really devote as much time as you can to it so that it's done correctly and you don't rush it, like, that's huge.
Right, and it's taking that little step of risk to do POC, even though it might be throwaway, that gives you that leverage kind of ultimately. And kind of thinking about prototypes and where things are going, let's pretend that, we're in a time machine, we go to AFP 10 years from now, and we're sitting here talking about the Dallas Cowboys again.
I mean, I hope, as far as my boss concerns, I'm going to be there.
What do the future us, when we're sitting here talking about the conversation, what does that world look like from a treasury perspective, from your perspective?
So, it's interesting because I've thought about it, because looking back, I've been involved in treasury for, I'm going to age myself, about 13 years now. And it's a world that I didn't even know existed until I got into it.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it, like most people who fall into this world.
Yeah.
And I, in many ways, still rely on a lot of the products, especially Excel, like I did before.
Yeah.
Even though I've made all these advances in technology and efficiencies, there's still some pieces that the old stuff just works.
Yeah.
And you can rely on it. So I don't know that spreadsheets are ever going to fully go away. And part of me, as an accounting minor and a math nerd, kind of loves that.
Right.
But I'm interested to see where AI takes it and how AI tries to handle other things like payments.
Right.
Because that's where, for me, like, the payment functionality hasn't changed much. Yeah, you have different types of payment companies now, but you're still dealing with ACHs. You're still dealing with checks. You're still dealing with wires.
Yeah.
We have the, real-time payments on hand now, and that's probably the newest thing.
Right.
Which I'm about to start exploring, maybe. But I don't see, like, the payment functionality changing all that much.
Right.
So
it'll be interesting because, if you were to listen to all of the different booths here, what are the topics? It's stable coins are going to disintermediate all transactions and make payments 24/7 and international. AI is going to introduce agentic systems where you could imagine an agent buddy that is working with you 24/7, doing your bidding. Anything that you ask that system to do, it'll go and do it for you.
I don't know. I have trust issues with that still. I feel like a lot of people, like, ugh.
And it's hard to, when we're in the moment now and we're seeing all of these technologies develop before our eyes, it's hard to trust it. But that's why I always have fun when I think about things and future cast, like 10 years from now, 15 years from now. And I assume, take, for example, an analogy. When the iPhone or, smartphones first came out, they kind of didn't do anything, right? Enterprise email didn't work. You couldn't really do much of anything. But when you compare that to, your smartphone, I saw that you're using a Fold. Did you ever believe that it would be possible to have a phone that folds in half and that is able to, do all the things that it does? And it's almost like you can't even imagine that in the moment when it's first coming out. And that's why I always have fun with this conversation, because it gets you to, think critically. Like, what would you look like if it were true? Like, take, for example, if you could trust an AI agent, like really trust it, like Jarvis, in Iron Man, what would your life look like as a treasurer?
Oh, it would be vastly different. I feel like I would have a lot more free time.
Yeah.
If I could just speak, hey, I need this wire to go out.
Right.
Like, and it do all the things. Like, that's like, I feel like Samantha from Bewitched. I just say it and it happens.
Yeah.
Right? Aging myself yet again. Old references.
I got it.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
And then I did the nose thing in my head.
Well, yeah, because we're not. So, you know, you have to, like,
Yeah.
for, like, her daughter. I can't remember her name. Anyway, I would have a lot more free time.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see how it would affect other aspects, like the card management. So I'm in charge of our card program and the administrator, and that system seems so antiquated sometimes.
Right.
The way that we have to do it and the reporting functionality out of that. So being able to apply AI to that process, I think that's where it would really have a huge impact.
Do you feel like if you knew that you could get that level of autonomy and all you have to do to get there would be plug all the right data pipes together and be really aggressive about it, do you feel like you'd be more motivated to do that if you knew that that future was coming without a shadow of a doubt?
In some aspects, yes, but I really like to see that it's been proven and all the kinks have been worked out with other people before we put our information into it.
Before you let an agent just send a multi-million-dollar wire and check to make sure that it was to the right person.
And I would be like, okay, let me be the approver. We'll let AI enter it all, but then I still want to review it before we pull that trigger.
Absolutely.
And how do you, I don't feel like you can write that into AI. Like the
Nothing
dual
can be
approvals.
written into AI,
right? Because that requires a human being to look at it. Even now,
Exactly.
I'm a human being most of the time, like to function like I'm a robot. Doesn't always happen. But I can make a mistake. And my approver, who is also another human being, in his review, he could make the exact same mistake that I can. But that you still need that oversight. How do you get that oversight with AI?
It's tricky.
You know?
Yeah, because on the one hand, it has that automation that everybody's excited about, especially when you think about it from the vantage point of just question answering, which is a lot of our context right now. It's, I type in something that I want, it spits out an answer. It could be verbose or not. But a lot of the systems that are being developed today that are the most exciting, you don't even prompt anything. It's happening under the hood.
I can't fathom that. Like,
so that's what's tough about it.
It's reading my mind. Like, I already get freaked out when I mention that I'm thinking about getting a toaster, and then I have all these targeted ads on my phone now. I'm like, stop listening.
Right.
Like, I can't. Oh, I'm not ready for that.
That's what's interesting about it is, what if it, you know, it never sleeps, right? So it has access to all of the banking data, has access to anything you're doing throughout the day. Imagine if all of those pipes were plugged in, as we were just talking about, and they're all working. And it's just sitting there crawling it all day, thinking, what is the risk of this particular thing? Is this fraud? Should I set this up as a payment for approval so that Erica can look at it in the morning as soon as she wakes up and opens her flip phone? That's kind of what is being worked on today. And I think that that's what's, it puts us in a position of having to either adapt or, I don't know what the alternative is. You know, to give you an example in tech, if we don't adopt it, we know that someone else will, right? And it's like almost this pressure of, if you don't come up with the strategies to do it safely, to do it accurately, to still have the level of productivity that you have today, that will you lose to someone that is, you know, native in it?
I mean, so almost indefinitely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's why it's always so interesting to think through it, you know?
It is.
And have a plan almost.
Even in this conversation right now, like, when I thought about that question before, I didn't go that in depth, and now I'm like, now you have me second guessing everything that I was thinking.
I hope not. It's always a thought exercise.
It is.
You know, because at the end of the day, everybody is going to adopt it with different levels of, you know, integration, right? Whether it's for payments, which is, I think, like the most absolute bleeding edge, to analysis. Just, hey, find this thing for me because I don't want to look for it, because that's a waste of my time. I think that there's like a in-between section somewhere in there.
I would agree.
And then 2 years from now, AI will take over and we will all be their slaves.
I don't know. there's just going to be some jobs that AI is never going to be able to do.
Yeah.
And of course, maybe I'm being a little partial here, but I feel like my job is one of those jobs.
Absolutely. Because it's your intuition ultimately that decides whether or not you want to take a level of risk or not, right?
Yeah.
It's not always going to come down to a calculus, right? That is, it makes me wonder, not to call out the ownership group of the Dallas Cowboys, but I feel like, when you think of one owner versus another owner versus another owner, they all may have different risk profiles that cannot be calculated by one model, right?
Yeah.
Which is why you ultimately still need a human, a person that is evaluating all of that and deciding, well, given my relationship with, the ownership group and our policies and all of that, we're willing to do this.
Yeah. And you're right. Those are factors that I don't feel like could ever be built into an AI.
Yeah.
Right now. And
Right.
with my limited knowledge and experience with it, whereas somebody else might be like, oh, give us 5 years, we'll be there. And I'm like, okay, good for you. That's my age. That's my leeriness about technology sometimes.
Kind of to land the plane on this discussion, because I feel like we could go on about tech and AI for hours, but knowing that there are so many folks kind of here looking for advice, trying to get to a best practice, what kind of final word of advice would you give to anyone watching this podcast?
Research the heck out of it. I have looked at so many different services and products and systems, and everybody is always going to put their best foot forward, right?
Right.
But I have found that proof of concept that we mentioned earlier has worked for me 9 times out of 10. And it has either given me a yes, definitively this is where I want to go, or this did not work at all like I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
But the great thing about that proof of concept is the only thing it costs you is your time.
Absolutely.
So as long as you're willing to put in the time to do the work and make sure you're choosing the best product for you or service for you, or even the best people, do the research.
Yeah.
You're going to come out on top when you take the time to invest in it.
I love that. And honestly, it's great advice for anyone that's here on the Trade Room Show floor. Erica, thank you so much for stopping by Fintech Corner. This has been an awesome conversation. And until next time, hopefully next year,
Hopefully.
we'll see you around.
Thanks.